Members of Congress returned to Washington today for what could be a make-or-break few weeks for Republicans' packed agenda. That is the Russia investigations and the upcoming testimony of former FBI Director James Comey continue to add complications for the party. Lisa Desjardins reports.
The Senate will come to order.
From the Senate floor.
Good morning. This hearing will come to order.
To committee rooms, to Capitol Hill hallways, Congress is back from recess and facing big issues with little time. Senate Republicans are at a pivotal point trying to write their health care bill.
We had another of our ongoing discussions about the way forward on health care. We're getting closer to having a proposal that we'll be bringing up in the near future.
They would like a vote this month, but Democrats point out Republican senators don't yet have a plan with enough votes on their own.
I have a message for our Republican colleagues. It's very simple. Abandon repeal, stop sabotaging our health care system, and you'll find Democrats waiting to work with you to improve the health care system.
The White House, meanwhile, stressed the will on health care, if not the way.
By and large, every elected Republican in the House and the Senate campaigned on this for the last 7 years.
But with health care still unfinished, that means a backed-up GOP agenda with infrastructure, tax reform, spending bills, not to mention raising the debt ceiling, all needing attention soon in order to pass.
What a great team this is. What an unbelievable team.
All of that brought the GOP's key leaders, House and Senate, to the White House to meet with President Trump today.
So we're working very hard on massive tax cuts, and we're working very, very hard on the health care. And I think we're going to have some very pleasant surprises for a lot of people.
But even this meeting had a nod to fired FBI Director James Comey's big hearing this week.
I wish him luck. Thank you, everybody.
And the cloud that continues to hang over the president's own agenda.
And Lisa joins me now. She's joined by our own John Yang. Great to have both of you here. So, John, I'm going to start with you. You just heard what Lisa's reporting about what they're looking for on the Hill. What is the White House trying to do right now?
Well, right now they're pushing infrastructure this week. Yesterday, airways, tomorrow, waterways, Thursday, highways and streets, Friday, permitting process. Now, you might think that means they've got an infrastructure bill ready to go. No, this is concepts, it's proposals, it's broad policy ideas. They really don't have a timeline yet of when they think they'll have an infrastructure bill ready to introduce in Congress. They don't even know yet whether it'll be one bill, a series of legislative packages. They're still on the drawing board.
Sounds like it's still early. So, Lisa, talk specifically about the time crunch. What is Congress dealing with here?
I think Congress is looking at essentially a 60-yard field goal to try and get everything done that it has to. It has to be perfect. Let's look at the calendar, what Congress and Republicans hoped to do this year. This was what they wanted to happen, have health care passed in February and March, and then tax reform. We should be talking about a bill right now. That's what they wanted. Let's look at what's actually happened instead. The calendar now instead has health care. Now, obviously, that was not passed until May, and then Senate is dealing with it now. So what's happened to tax reform? Well, that's been kicked back because we see the debt ceiling and a spending bill coming up this summer, further jamming the calendar, meaning tax reform might be slipped back to the fall, Judy. And as John said, this is one reason there's not a timeline for infrastructure. It simply doesn't fit. And it's not clear that all these things fit either. This is we've never seen Congress be able to get this much done in that amount of time.
So, John, in addition, as Lisa's suggesting, in addition to infrastructure, there's more that the White House wants to get done.
That's right. They've got two things on their wish list, one thing on their must-do list. On the wish list, they want to get a health care vote before the August recess. They, of course, had hoped to have that done by now. And then, as Lisa's pointed out, they want the tax bill introduced after Labor Day. They were hoping to have that passed by August. The must-do list, they've got to raise the debt ceiling. Big debate inside the administration. Do you do that clean with nothing attached to it, or do you have spending cuts and other spending reforms in order to get conservatives, fiscal conservatives, to vote for it?
So, Lisa, again, back to the Hill, when Republican leaders hear all this, how do they think they can get it done, or do they really?
Yeah, reality is a tricky concept right now on Capitol Hill, but this is what I've gotten from sources that I trust. They believe there will be a Senate vote on health care before August. Now, there's big questions over whether the House and Senate will come together on a health care package after that. That's very much in question. Tax reform. People are openly talking now that they're not sure that they can actually get that done. I'm hearing voices in the Republican Party saying maybe
This year or
this
after?
year, and maybe not in the next cycle. Because there's so much heavy lifting, they're now even starting to say maybe that becomes a tax cut instead of sweeping tax reform.
And meantime, John, at the White House, the president is saying some things. His aides and spokespeople are sometimes often saying something different.
Well, I mean, on this legislative process, he keeps talking as if health care is ready for a vote in the Senate. He talks about as if the tax reform, or the tax cut bill, is ready for a vote in the Senate. And everything's just 2 weeks away. In 2 weeks, we're going to have a great plan. But this is put off well into the future.
And in fact, Lisa, we were talking about this earlier. What the president is saying, you know, John is reporting in some of these expectations that he's putting out there and tweeting about, including about other subjects that then members of Congress leadership have to react to. All of that is having an effect on the agenda.
I think until now, many Republicans have been able to shrug it off as much as they themselves were frustrated by it. But today, Judy, Senator Bob Corker, generally a Trump ally, was literally speechless when he was told about the president's tweet about Qatar. Now, I also have to say, though, even though I think these distractions are actually affecting the agenda now, something bigger than that still is that Republicans can't agree. That's still the basic problem. Republicans in the House and Senate and in the White House have not come up with plans on these items, and that's still the essential problem.
Well, it's a lot of moving parts, and I know the two of you are going to continue to report it. And as we speak, I mean, there's more news coming out of the White House and the Hill tonight on all this. Thank you very much, Lisa Desjardins, John Yang.